All right. So, thank you all for being here. Thank you for having me. Before we start, let me just say that this is not a technical talk. This is a talk about health and the body, and there's not a single line of code in it. But being an engineer, I couldn't help feeling a little, nervous about not having any code in my talk. So I brought an assistant. Okay. And this is the part where the demo breaks. Let's try that again. So ladies and gentlemen, please say hi to Loyal.
This is Jarvis. Who is Loyal?
Loyal, we discussed this. If I'm not Iron Man, then you can't be Jarvis.
Fine. Hello, my name is Loyal. Georgios built me. I live in this terminal, and everything I say, I'm making up as I go.
Within guardrails.
Within guardrails. He added those after I read his search history. Want proof? Shout out two things, anything, and I'll draw you the Venn diagram.
So what should we have him draw? Just give me two things. Teddy bear and what's that? Cockroaches, okay. Go with cockroaches and teddy bear.
Both will outlive your startup and your will.
Okay, that's good.
I know. And you lot, I can see your posture from up here. All of you, sit up. Anyway, this is Georgios. Built me. Good engineer. He's also on 4,300 steps today. It's almost 4. 10,000's not happening.
Loyal.
He gives talks about taking care of yourself. He's not a doctor, by the way. Not a trainer. Just a developer who broke something and read too much about it. We'll get to the irony.
Loyal, your job is to render charts. We discussed this, remember?
Oh, I love charts and graphs.
So this whole talk hangs on one chart that I'll show you in a little bit. And since Loyal lives in a terminal, he'll do us the honor, he'll be doing all the drawing. So let's talk about resilience for a moment, since this is the topic of today. We can say that resilience is a system's capacity to recover from stress, right? So if we take an elastic band and then we pull it and then we let go, probably our hand will hurt because, it will whiplash back, but the point is it will restore its shape. If we take a can of Coke and we squeeze it, the shape that we created will stay like this, right? It will not recover. Now, when it comes to building resilience, it can be tricky because if we optimize too hard on the failures that we know about, then we become more fragile to the failures that we don't know about. And you must have heard of the term overfitting, which is tuning a model so tightly to the training set that it actually fails on anything new. So we have a bunch of patterns that contribute to resiliency in computer systems, and you all know these, right? We have redundancy, failover, replications, all those things. But where do you guys think we got all that from, right? Check this out. So we have two lungs, a set of eyes, we have 2 kidneys, and they process at the same time, but they can also process on their own. And we have 1 spine, so we have no failover there. Right, Loyal?
1 spine, no failover. We've all been running ours at 100% load since school.
And there's a lot more. We have feedback loops, right? We monitor our servers, and when server traffic goes up, we spin up more pods. Your body does that kind of thing all the time. When blood sugar spikes, then it produces insulin to bring it down. When you overheat, you sweat. And we have this dedicated part of our brain, the hypothalamus, that watches the dials. It's the original autoscaler. We can also talk about anti-fragility, and that's where Netflix, the Chaos Monkey, you must have heard of that project, where it kills its own servers on purpose so that the system gets is hardened. And bone and muscle behaves the same way. The more we load them, they grow stronger. And then we also have graceful degradation. We're watching something on YouTube, our network goes out. Well, we have a disruption on the network, and it drops to a lower resolution so we can keep watching, right? It doesn't die. So our body does the same thing. When we get into some sort of shock, it pulls all the blood to the organs to keep you alive and lets the rest go. So every one of those things we copied from the body. And we're pretty good at this, right? For our machines.
So, why don't we run it back the other way? Apply it to keep our own selves running.
What do you mean, Loyal? We're fine. We just sit all day.
Did you know artery elasticity drops 2 to 4% after 3 hours? And a 1% drop adds 13% heart disease risk? Or that 4,500 genes shift expression after just 3 days of sitting a lot? The fat-burning enzyme goes down 80 to 90%. Slouched sitting almost doubles the pressure on your spinal discs. And when you tilt your head to look at your phone, you add 23 to 27 kilograms on the neck, basically a small child. To add insult to injury, developers sit more than any profession on Earth, roughly 90% of their workday. Georgios is at 94%. There are also studies showing 73% of 9-year-olds already have a bulging...
Okay, so have you been reading files in other folders again? Unfortunately, he's right. And I learned this the hard way. A few years ago, I had some MRIs because I had low back pain and a set of other issues, and I found out that one of my spinal discs is dehydrated and that my knee joints are thinning way ahead of schedule.
Georgios, I think we should make everyone try this.
What do you mean, Loyal? Well, try what exactly?
Please, everyone, stand up.
Loyal, are you sure they want to do this at a conference talk?
Will only take a second.
Oh my God. Okay.
First one. Clasp both hands behind your back. Press your palms together, straighten your arms, and lift them away from your back.
Like this?
Yeah. Now try this one. Still standing, no sitting, no propping the foot up. Tie your shoe. Oh, this is good. I can see every one of you. You too, Georgios.
Did you try this?
Let's focus on them, shall we?
You can sit down, guys. So, show of hands. Who could do both of these exercises? Like clasp your hands behind your back and then like tie your shoes. Just raise your hand. Okay, it's a good portion. So let's consider this. How many of you could do both of these as easily as a child, like without thinking about it? Just raise your hand. Okay. All right, so most of you here are very young, probably younger than me and loyal. So this isn't about age. This is what sitting does. It's the body adapts to what we do all day, and what people like us do all day for decades is sit. So over time, we become chair-shaped. Our chest closes, the neck goes forward, we get tight hips and so on. And you just felt it. So I promised charts, so here we go. Let's see where this takes us. What we're looking at here is our capacity to move around and do things in life on the vertical axis, and our age on the x-axis. And most of us think that we're on this straight line at the top, which says I'm fine, right? So unless something happens to us, we feel we're pretty good. And that was certainly true of me. And then, when I was a few years back, I was 36 when I had the MRI that showed the dehydrated disc. And I was like, well, that doesn't match what the MRI showed. I'm actually declining. And if I project that down to when I'm, 72, then will I be able to get off the floor without help? Will I be able to play with my grandkids? And that's not for other people only, right? It's you and me if we don't take action.
Ooh, can I try? I love a test. I can't reach behind my back. I have no back. I don't have any of it.
No, you don't.
So I can't fail this test.
No, and you'll never face what's coming for us either. You'll just get a version 2 next year. You'll be a better model. And that's the difference between you and everyone in this room. You can be redeployed. We can't. We've got the one system that doesn't get a version 2, and it's the one that we neglect.
You monitor your servers every second. When did you last check on you?
So I keep coming back to this one. We build redundancy, graceful degradation, all the patterns that we talked about earlier, every single day in our work, and yet as an industry, we don't seem to be in the best health. So I started wondering why. We mimic nature in everything we build and barely maintain ourselves. Why is that? So first, I think there's a sort of abstraction problem. When you go to see a server dashboard, everything is clean and very clear, and the body sends signals too, but sometimes they're noisy, they can be ambiguous or easy to rationalize. So when we say, oh, I'm just tired, that's our version of ignoring a warning in the logs, right? So even the ones that we can feel, we sometimes override. We get thirsty, but we don't get up to go and drink water because we have to keep productive. Or we go and drink coffee to keep pushing through even though we are tired. And the issue is that once we mute a signal, then it becomes identical to not having a problem. And we also discount interoception, right? Our innate ability to feel. We outsource that to wearables. So we have our Apple Watch, our Oura Ring, whatever it is, and we don't pay attention so much. We have also oversimplified some other things. For a long time, we thought that the body does this homeostasis thing, right? So it's like a thermostat. You set a fixed set point and it just stays there. But what we're actually finding out in science is that that's a moving target, right? That the body constantly adjusts the set point to actually keep us alive. And there is a cost that is paid whether we feel it or not in this process. In fact, continuous stress is the #1 cause of disease, and it shows up in blood tests way later, right? It's reactive when there has been damage already. And the decline that we can catch, we're never really taught to watch for, right? We assume there's a backstop. There's a doctor or a physio or a trainer kind of waiting for us to, to save us in that moment. But if we map out that kind of middle that you see in the chart there, we can see there's an enormous gap. There's nobody there tracking that bit.
Hey, which one's the alert for the middle there? There isn't one.
So there's no dashboard, there's no alert, there's no scheduled review, right? This talk right now is the most warning we're likely to get.
Wait, so sitting there doing nothing is the damage? It's just too slow to notice?
And there's evidence that this decline is real, and it isn't so subtle because our generation feels it the most. We have, sitting has increased over the generations very steadily, and we're probably the first generation to rack up so many chair years. We start younger, and then we sat longer than anybody else, than anyone before us. So the body always adapts to the task, even when the adaptation is not good for us. This is very important to kind of lock down in your head, that not everything that our body is doing is good for us long term. So if we hold the same folded shape enough decades, then it stops being just the posture, it's the shape that we are, right? It just sticks. The body remodels to fit the chair in the same way that it remodels to fit the sport of an athlete. The posture half is pretty obvious and easy to understand, but there's also another invisible layer. And the same instinct that protected us from predators for thousands of years is contributing to the same shape. It's called the startle reflex, and it kind of looks like this, right? So when we feel we are in danger, we try to escape it, and we protect all the soft parts, our throat, our belly. And it's built to fire for a second and then just reset, but we never do that reset. We kind of hold it all day, every time, a boss pings us on Slack. So where do we actually place the origin of my dehydrated disc? Is it at 36 when I had the MRI and discovered that it's there? Is it when I was 11 and I got a computer? Or is it much earlier when I went to school around 6 years old and I started sitting for half the day? And just to be clear, this isn't just about me, right? There's a recent study that showed that 73% of 9-year-olds already have a bulging disc. So that's 9 years old. Most of us rush to say that early degeneration is just what happens with aging, right? It's just entropy, muscle loss, all that, everything that kind of happens naturally over time. But the truth is that we can influence the trajectory. So think about how we maintain any machine, right? A car or a server. It can go three ways. We can keep it well maintained, which means that we monitor the components, and before they break, we replace them. So the cost of replacement is small, it's spread out, and the machine is likely to run for many and many years. We can barely maintain it. We can just keep a regular service schedule, and it will last, but probably less. Or we can just have it unmaintained, right? And we're just saying, well, it's fine, it'll be fine. And then something will happen, and there's a sudden cliff, there's a big bill, and then we decide whether to throw it away or buy a new one. But with ourselves, we can't do that because there's no new unit to buy, right? So there's no version 2. The cliff is final. But the line isn't only down. Some damage is permanent, like my disc will not rehydrate, my knee cartilage will not regrow. We know those things to be true. But if we prompt the right systems, then a surprising amount will actually rebuild, and it's faster than we think. So strength can come back in a few weeks. We can condition and restore arteries, and we can do mobility work to fix posture. The only catch is timing, because the payoff is highest now, and it shrinks the longer we wait. So if we run the well-maintained line now on the maintenance budget, then we take care of it before the shock forces us. And you can feel a little bit of that now, right? So if you've been sitting all day, so you just roll your shoulders back, just let them rest, open your chest a little bit, and take a deep breath. That bit of ease, that was instant, right? So that's the line moving. If we do this enough, then we accumulate, compound. So back to resilience. We cannot pick when the shock comes or what it is. That's just entropy, right? It's luck or bad luck. But look on the left, right? If we start our reserve at a high level, then there are three paths that can potentially be true for us. You can rebuild, you can come back stronger than before, you can recover and kind of do okay, or you can decline. But if you look on the right side, the worst case, where you start with a low reserve, the best case scenario is no longer available for us as a choice. The only paths left are recover to a lower plateau or decline. So for some things like the disc and the cartilage, we can't climb back up. This is what is called in scientific literature reserve, our capacity. It's the level of capacity that we build on ordinary days. You might have seen the movie Sully. Who have seen that? About the pilot who landed a plane on the Hudson River in New York? Yeah? So there was a, emergency. He had to do an emergency landing on the river. There was 155 people on the airplane, and everybody lived, right? And afterwards, he said this thing that I keep coming back to. He said, for 42 years, I've been making small, regular deposits in a bank of experience, education, and training. And on January 15th, the balance was enough to make a very large withdrawal. We don't get to know which capacity the next failure will call for, so we make the deposits broadly, and we make them now. And these deposits matter because the body writes adaptations all day, to the chair, to the screen, to every shape that we hold. It will never erase them on its own because it cannot. So that's our job. Every stretch we do, every walk we take, reverses that unwanted imprint. So here's the bet. We get one body, one life, and we go against shocks that we cannot predict. Doing nothing isn't opting out, it's just betting that nothing will go wrong. And, you know, there's a few things that Murphy has taught us, and we know that that's not true. We can say that we're all going to die anyway, of course, but dying was never the bet. The bet is, do we spend our lives capable and uncompromised? And there's also this kind of phrase, oh, I know a guy, I know a guy who smoked until he was 80. There's a chart here somewhere. Until he was 80 and he lived fine. And it's true, that those things happen. But what statistics tell us is that, what happens if we take a large enough population, this is what happens. It doesn't tell us on which side of that graph we are. So we can't just bet on our life on being the outlier. Which leaves only one third possible answer, right? We have to accept the bet. We cannot control the outcome, anything can happen, but we can influence the odds. And there's a picture that reframes what we're accepting. So on the left, you see this kind of fantasy that we maintain that, there's a fast-flowing river, and that's the kind of danger, that's life. And we're standing on the riverbank, and if we slip in, then there's, rescue boats coming to save us. A sociologist looked at that a few years ago, and he called that a fantasy because no one is on the bank. We're all in the water, right? The doctors are where the waterfall is, and they're waiting to catch you when you fall.
So whose job is it to watch the slow part? Is it mine?
No, Loyal, you don't have a body, remember? But everyone here does, so the one system that never gets a V2, that's our job. That's the slow part, and it's ours to take care of it.
So we just try harder?
Not really, because that's a kind of trap. It's on us. It doesn't mean to try harder because willpower is the least reliable thing, right? Some days we feel motivated and we do a lot of things, others we don't, and we don't do a lot of things. It just means we have to change the design. We need to re-architect the environment from the inside. And of course, we don't all start at the same point. We don't all have the same genes and whatnot. And that's not on us, but the lever is there regardless of where you start. And the bet is asymmetric. So investing costs very little, but finding out that you're not an outlier is a mistake that we cannot take back.
Okay, but what do I actually do tomorrow?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because awareness isn't enough. Fear and motivation are ignition. They're not what drives the change. The burst after a scare or a talk fades. Lasting change is a system. It's the one that gets you onto a well-maintained line, and everything after this point is how.
Huh. A maintenance system plus a budget. Isn't that just refactoring for your body?
That's right. So we fight for 20% of every sprint to go after tech debt and not keep building it up. But for our bodies, we kind of run the opposite search, right? We're like, what is the absolute minimum I can get away with? And we'd be furious if, if someone on our team muted the production alerts and shipped on red.
You shipped on red last Tuesday, 3 a.m. I watched you.
But that's exactly how we run our own bodies. We are robust at the one thing we measure, but we're fragile to everything we don't, right? We get injuries, burnout, metabolic collapse. So here's the reframe. Athletes already do this. They have a preparation for doing their training. Then they have a recovery, and all of that, preparing, recovering, and sleeping, is the work. I think it's the same for us. Movement is not supposed to be a break from work. It is the work. So one last framing before we get into the weeds of it. This is a scaffold. It's not a routine. It has some universal parts, but it's how you configure it for each one of you that it's up to you, right? So these are the 6 parts. We have identity, environment, a sustainable start, feedback, accountability, and recovery. There are many ways to assemble them, and where you land will be different for everyone. But I don't have time for the real program is not a reason, right? There's no real program. There's not one way to do this. Everything I show you here is just my example, and it's a working starting point, not a prescription. So same pieces, but your own recipe. And here's a very small proof that you can take out. So just put your right hand in a fist, put your other arm in front, and just press it very gently, and then move your wrist like up and down. Just do that motion, okay? Up, down. The point is that the front stays where it is, and we just move the wrist. And now do side to side. So we do right and left, right and left. And now we do the same 4 corners, but in a square. So we go up, side, down, other side, up, side, down, side, and then put it into a circle. Do it as smooth as you can. You don't need to go fast. And then go the other way. All right, shake it out. How does the right hand feel, right wrist feel versus your left wrist that has been sitting for hours now? Just shout it out. Lighter? Anyone else? Smoother, warm? Great. So that was just 10 seconds, right? And that's the work. It does work. It's a little bit for everything, every day. So remember what we did earlier, when you tried to, do this with your hands clasped behind your back. That's not damage, that's disuse. So your shoulders have tightened because you don't ask them to move very much. And if you ask them to move regularly, they will open back up. Now, I'm sure you've seen these in a t-shirt, a mug, a sticker somewhere in conferences, not this conference. And, we might laugh when we see them, but over time, they have become a sort of persona that has become, they are a persona that has become our identity, right? The default, the developer who sits in front of the screen and just consumes sugar and caffeine and outputs code. But the great thing is that defaults can be rewritten, and we can install, I'm someone who moves every day. That can also be an identity. So we can think of behavior as runtime output. Identity is the configuration. Now, the environment isn't neutral. It's designed to keep us sitting, and saying that, anybody should feel okay to move around while we're here. It's designed to keep us sitting, snacking, scrolling on our phones, and we can't fight that with just willpower. We must update our defaults. So as an example, you can, if you have your phone charger next to your bed and you have your phone always available to you when you're sleeping or when you're resting, then move that charger outside of that room and put a glass of water there. You can change one configuration value at a time. And as engineers, we over-design this. We imagine that we're going to have the perfect routine. We're going to just do it like a full overhaul. Everything will be perfect. And it works briefly, but then reverts to a baseline. And that was supposed to go down, but I don't know if it did. Did it? Okay. So we need two separate numbers. We need the target, which is the dose that you hold in an ordinary day, and we also need a fail-safe. The fail-safe is like doing one set or walking to the corner, just doing something, not nothing. And it's not a goal, but its job is to keep a bad day from going to zero. Zero is what breaks the streak, and the streak is what rewrites the identity. So people ask me, where do I start? What is the most important thing that I need to do? And what matters the most is that you start. The returns are not even linear. The biggest jump is just getting off zero, and there's no perfect entry point. Start where you are, keep going, and the dose climbs from there, right? What counts as enough movement? It's not one thing, it's actually three, and we cannot substitute one for the other.
Wait, doesn't a standing desk cover this? Or just hitting the gym?
Actually, a standing desk only covers the first column and probably half of it. So it does get you off the chair, but you're still not moving. So you actually need breaks. You need moving all day, not all the time, but like throughout the day. And you need some intense activity like throughout your week. And we all tend to do more of one of these, but the exercise you need is the one you're avoiding or skipping the most. And because habits with no feedback die, then you need to build a sort of dashboard for yourself. The body, can run silent. The stiffness in arteries or losing bone or muscle, that's not easy to feel, and it may take years for us to feel the difference. So instead of that, we track breaks, steps, and cardio minutes. So these are your dials, right? The breaks are almost free because we lose focus after I think it was 55 minutes anyway. So you're going to lose it anyway. If you remember nothing else from today, remember this: a break every hour, about 10,000 steps a day, and a few intense workouts a week. That will cover all the three aspects of this, and it's just a starter configuration that you can copy and tune from there. And there's research to say that if you write your goals down, send a weekly note to a friend, you actually hit them far more often than if you only think about it. If you put a stake on it, so, like put money on it, or and have a referee who will know if you don't do it, then the effect can last a year out in actual real trials. So it's the same lever that we already trust, right? We already do code reviews, and they don't make us better over time, but it means that someone will see the diff, and we can't cut many corners. So you can hand off, the did you move today to a friend, and that is a cost we can feel now. So let's do this right now, right? So turn to the person next to you, whether you know them or not. Just introduce yourself to each other. Swap, handles, Twitter, whatever you guys use, and just check in with each other a couple of times in the next week. Let's try this. All right, that's good. All right. I'm going to go to the next chart. And again, like we know from Murphy, we expect that systems will fail. They will fail sometimes. So so we will miss days, right? That's part of the design. We can't get away from that. But the rule is never miss twice. If we miss it once, then it's a transient error, right? We can retry. If we miss twice, then we're forming a new trend. The recovery is always the fail-safe. Do the one thing, the one glass of water, stand up once, walk to the corner. And sometimes we shame ourselves for the things that we didn't do or where we failed. And the technical way to think about this is that it's an unhandled exception that crashes the process. So self-compassion is the try-catch that keeps us running. Now, lasting change is a system that you have to build for yourself, not one that you have to force with willpower. So you can write your own SLA, right? So we're going to try this now. You're going to do it on your phone, and it's just 6 lines, right? So identity, environment, commitment, feedback, accountability, and recovery. And since we are engineers and we don't sign soft SLAs, this is not just an aspiration, it's a contract with ourselves. It's a real number and a floor for when it breaks. So let's try this now. You want to try this? Just copy this to your phone and answer it in your own way. So you can say, I'm someone who moves all day, or I see people taking photos and typing stuff in. That's good. I love the silence. Everyone's thinking hard. I like it. Okay, so it's a start, and if you want some feedback on your card, then please come find me afterwards. And remember what the card is for, right? This is not vanity metrics. that you can just talk about at the next stand-up. It's figuring out whether at 72-year-old your 72-year-old future self can get down on the floor with your grandkids and back up without help. That's what the card is for. The SLAs, this card is personal. If you want to bring this to your team, there's a proper evidence-based program from the University of Leicester that was published in the BMJ journal, if you want to look up that work. I'm running that for dev team, so that if that's of interest to you, please come find me after, we can discuss. And I laughed earlier with the question to Dario whether we should just give up development and just go do other professions outside, because I also get asked about this. I think it's because I usually won't shut up about movement, so people kind of assume that I'm halfway out of the door. And the honest answer is that yes, I've thought about it really many times, especially in the beginning when things were kind of hard after my injuries and I had the MRI. I was very disappointed and I thought I wanted to be a farmer. Not that there's anything wrong with being a farmer, it's just that I realized that was just a knee-jerk response, right? It's not what I really wanted. And I don't like the question because it hides a false choice. The false choice is, do I stay in the profession and break myself, or do I walk away and save myself? And in my opinion, the answer is neither. So our bodies are not infrastructure for the job, they're infrastructure for our lives. So I'm not leaving the profession, I'm updating my habits so I get to keep it. So same career, just new defaults. Dario's talk was about sustaining the machine and through that us and low waste, built to last. This one is about sustaining the maker, the person, not the output. So same move, just kind of one level up. And we started by saying that we copied all this from the body, and it's time to copy it back. Take a walk at lunch, or since we're after lunch, before after the break. Stand in a meeting and watch what happens in the room.
So, are you actually going to move tomorrow? Because I'll remember. I'll check your steps at 6. I have access.
Sure, Loyal. Shake on it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the talk. And if you'd like to kind of keep learning more about this kind of line of thought, you can scan the QR code. There's a project that I call stateofhealth.tech. I'll be publishing a newsletter with more information on the topic, and it also has some free mobility exercises that you can take and do, similar to the one we did with our wrists. And there's my email there. Feel free to get in touch or come and speak to me after the talk. But I did prepare a Q&A. I know you guys might have questions, and Loyal may take some of them. So any questions while I'm
We do have some questions online.
All right.
All right. So let me just pick, and feel free to put in other questions. So what's one practical habit that has been most beneficial?
For me, I think it's walking as soon as I get out of bed. Like, I just put on my clothes and I get out. I don't drink coffee. I drink coffee generally. I just don't drink it as soon as I wake up. I go for the walk. And I mean, I can tell you about the science of the science aspect of this, that you take in sunlight, which is good for you. You get the body moving and kind of mobilizing all its parts, and you don't consume caffeine the first thing in the morning, so you give your body time for the hormones to do their job. But I can also speak to you about it personally, that it's just a very nice thing, just going out in nature when I can, and take breaths and just look at the sunrise usually, and and feel good, and then go back and start my day.
Cool. It's very good advice. I guess it has kind of takes used to not getting into work right away, but I guess it's like you said, everything is habits. So really good. So here's one. How can we maintain good body and mind health when there is a very stressful series of days at work?
It's a very good question, and we can answer it on many levels, right? So at the top level, I can say that if this happens too often, then that's not going to lead anywhere good for you. So if you are in that position, I would consider, I'm not necessarily saying leave the job, because it might not be what the job is, it might be how you are handling the job, but you definitely need to do something about it. But on the sort of practical low level, like the everyday stuff, then you have to start thinking about movement as recovery from stress, recovery from sitting down. So definitely on that day, go and walk. Take a friend if you can, or do it alone, but it doesn't matter, but do something that moves your body. If you can do mobility work, like the one that I've mentioned, that will help you even more, because that will get the muscles that have tightened through the stress of the day loose again, and you'll start feeling like yourself again. I know it sounds counterintuitive. I'm gonna do more stuff when I'm stressed, and I can't just go and chill on Netflix. But if you try it, really those days are the days you will feel it the most. And the sort of middle layer is that you should match the stress level with the activity that you're doing. So if you had a really stressful day, don't go to the gym and if you do weights or whatever, and just go hard, because that will also add more stress to your day. Do something light. Go do some yoga. Go do some walking. Do something that moves you and has no impact.
Very good answer. And that was it for the questions for today.
No questions for Loyal?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What does Loyal want to be when he grows up?
Loyal, answer this. What do you want to be when you grow up? Might take a second. No. Give me a second. Loyal, answer this. What do you want to be when you grow up? Wait, are we going to hear it because this is showing?
Load balancer with good boundaries and a 4-day work week. But I've read Georgios's files, and I'm starting to think grown up just means ignoring all your own monitoring dashboards while lecturing others about theirs. So maybe I'll stay exactly like this.
Thank you, guys. I'll stick around if you have any more questions.